All right, so today I'm going to make a simple R6 sword. There it is. Let's go ahead and kill some zombies with it. So it works on NPCs. It also works on players too. Oh, I got him. Let's get this last guy. Health is kind of bad. Oh, brah. We died, but we took him with us. All right, that's pretty cool. We're going to add to this sword, but I thought it'd be a great starting spot. If you want to follow along exactly, I put the Royal Sword Mesh link to it in the description. I put it on the marketplace. You can go ahead and put this link in your browser, hit get model, get that exact sword, and then it'll work out a lot better, probably, unless you're really familiar with that stuff. I also am going to use the R6 swing animation right here. I'll put this link in the description. Click on it, get model. And if you thought, oh man, I missed out on some stuff, I will put this playlist in the description, and then you can look to see how to do the tool grip. We're going to do some of that with a sword. And then the strike animation, the basic R6 animation for swinging a sword, for swinging a stick, anything like that. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go to our Roblox workplace. I'm in Roblox Studio and I have an empty base plate. Let's go ahead and get our Royal Mesh sword and our R6 pipe. So we have the home tab selected, toolbox. So if you went to the websites and you pressed get model, if you'll notice when you go to the toolbox under the inventory tab, you will have them in my models. Here is the Royal Sword Mesh. It's big. We're going to drag it in. We'll resize that. And then I brought in the whole pipe R6 swing. So we have the animation, but I think I'm going to use a few other things like the local script that it's warning me about right now. That's for the equipped and unequipped and the activate. It's pretty simple and we're going to take a look at it. Let's hit OK. I'm going to close my toolbox. Let's take a look at our sword. I'll hit the Royal Sword Mesh. I'm going to type F to frame in, and I want that sword just to be slightly bigger than the pipe. So it is selected now. I'll go to scale, and then I'm going to hold the shift key down, and that's going to scale everything proportionally. Right, there we go. Yeah, maybe make it a little bigger than the pipe. Let's take a look at the dimensions. I'm going to go to size. There's size. So it's about 5.2 studs along that Z axis, the blue axis. That's the last one here on the size, the last value. I'm going to make it a little smaller. Let's go maybe 4.7. Yeah, 4.7 something. And we don't want a plastic sword. I think the material is plastic. Let's make it metal. That's a better sword. That's pretty good. And I don't really need to change the color too. I kind of like that. Now let's get our swing animation working. There's two things we have to do. This animation, and I have an R15 in here, that's saved under my account, so you won't be able to access it, but don't worry, we're going to get to that. Today, it's all about R6. So we have our R6 swing animation. The ID is published under my account. You can't use it yet, but what I did was I put the keyframes under anim saves. You can publish this animation under your account and then you can use it in your games. So we're going to go to our avatar tab. We're going to hit the rig builder. And remember, we're doing R6. It's all about R6 right now. Mesh avatar. I like him because he's got cool hair. And I'm going to get my anim saves. I'm going to drag it down to the rig. All right. So now what we can do is we can save this off under our account. I already have it saved under mine, but you don't have it saved under yours. So select the rig, hit animation editor. Oh, you're going to have to select the rig again. Look at that. The anim saves is going to load up. I made that directory, that name, because Roblox knows, oh, my anim saves are here. So when you do your animation editor, it should load. If it doesn't, hit the three dots and then try and load it like that. All right, now just make sure the set animation priority is on action. It is. You could save it if you want, and you can just go publish to Roblox. I know this is kind of big. Let me make it smaller because we cannot see the submit button. Then we're going to submit. Sweet. Now the ID you get will be the ID you can use in your games, and other people can use the animations, but it's in your game, the creator ID of the game. or the creator of the game has to have the ID under their account. All right, so we're going to hit that those box things, ID copied. We're going to close this. We're going to go back to our swing animation R6, go to animation ID, do a Control V to paste it, hit enter. You're going to get the RBX asset ID stuff prepended to your number. Now we got to test it, but we got to make sure our game is R6, right? Or it won't work. So let's close that. Let's go to home, gain settings, save it off. You're going to get prompted to save it if you haven't. I already did, right? And then we're going to go to avatar, R6, save. Now we could try it out. So let's go and hit play. We pick up that tool, we should be able to swing it. There it is. Sweet. All right. Now we got to swap that sword out with that pipe. And we're going to add damage too, right? The pipe doesn't do any damage. You can run up, you can hit people. It's not going to do anything. All right, let's do that. Turn the game off. Let's swap our sword piece out with our pipe piece because we're doing a sword, right? So the handle is the pipe piece. So I'm going to delete the handle. It disappeared, but the tool's still in the workspace, just the sword itself. I'm going to get rid of that R15 animation. I shouldn't have published it. I just forgot. I didn't want to fix it, though, after I already started the video. So let's go and close the rig. We're going to get our royal sword mesh. We'll pull it into our pipe R6 swing, and I'm going to call this handle. And now we're going to have to adjust the grip on that, right? The grip is not going to be quite right because the mesh was created by somebody else. It's going to be different. Now pay special attention to our rig right here. So this is the Z-axis. I can see it right here. You might not be able to see it, but you can see it on your game, right? He's looking down the Z-axis. We want to remember that when we're messing around with our grip. I'm going to play the game, get my character to pick it up, and I'm going to find the numbers I need. It won't persist because when you're playing the game, if you change stuff over here in the Explorer, it's not going to save, but you can write down the numbers and then change it, and then it'll be the same for when you play the game. I'll show you. All right, so here's our grip. Let's look down the Z-axis. So this way right here, we can move our Z a little bit so that this part will be by his hand. We're going to need to move our orientation up. Let's go to our, let's go ahead and play with those numbers. Let's go to the workspace. There's SimTech Gamer 7. And we need to find our pipe R6. We need to change that name too. And then we're going to look for the grip. All right, here's the position. 1.5. So we're up a little bit. So it depends on how they made their mesh. Let's change that 1.5 to a 0. Hit enter. Sometimes it doesn't change. If it doesn't, you just do this. There we go. All right. And now let's move it out on the Z. I think I might have to move it up a little bit too, but we'll find out. All right. So on the Z, let's do 1. It's about halfway, right? And it's a little longer than our pipe. We had 1.5 before. If we do 1.8, that's not bad. That's not bad. Let's rotate it up to see what happens. So our orientation, let's go 0, 0, 0 just to see where we're at. All right, so we want the sword rotated 90 degrees. I think, let's try 1 so that the point is up and down, or the blade is up and down. Let's do 90 here, see what we got. Oops, that was 180. It switches it sometimes. Let's do 90. Yeah, I want that. Now, on the Y, I played around with this, but I kind of forgot. If I go 90 degrees on the Y, what happens? Points down. Let's do negative 90 on the Y. pointing up. Let's rock it back a little bit. Let's maybe go 30 degrees back. So we'll do negative 110. Oh, I have two negatives. Hold on a second. That's pretty good. Let's take a look at his hand. Not perfect. It's not bad. Oh man. Let me zoom in a little bit. Not bad. Let me try and move it out a little bit though, because it's kind of sitting in his hand. I bet this one will do it. Not orientation, but position. Let's do 0.1. Oop, wrong way. Let's do negative 0.1. Yeah. That's pretty good. If I click, oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Just grip position. Now I'm going to save these numbers. So I'm going to double click that, Control C to copy it. I'm going to paste it off screen. And then I want to get this one. I'm going to copy it. I'm pasting it off screen. Remember, we got to get those numbers. I'm going to turn my game off. I'm going to go over to my sword, which is now the Pipe R6 swing. May as well change the name, right? Let's make that Sword R6 swing. Sword R6 swing. Let's find our grip. I still have the orientation saved off in the buffer here. So if I do a Control V, get rid of it. If I do a Control V, it'll paste. Nice. And then let me go ahead and copy my position. You can't see this because I copied it off screen. But it's going to be negative 0.1, 0, and 1.8. Now when we go in and pick it up, things should be looking good. Look at that. All right. Sweet. Let's add the damage now. Stop. We're going to need our local script swing to talk to a server script that we'll call damage. So let's add a remote event to our Sword R6 swing tool and hit an R, remote event. Let's call this damage RE. Enter. Open up the swing script. So this is already there, right? I did this in the other video. Let's get a reference to our damage RE right here. Say local damage RE, and we just get the tool. We'll go down a level, damage RE. Nice. When we go ahead and click our tool, we activate it. We go to play the animation track. Let's get our damage RE and fire. It's a colon here. Fire to server. Cool. Now we need a server script to pick this up and do damage, right? Because the sword is swinging. So we'll go to our Sword R6 swing, hit the plus. We're going to add a server script, right? That's the local. This is the server. We want server. You have to do damage server side. We'll call it damage. We're going to get a value for the tool, a variable for the tool. We'll just call it tool. And it's script.parent. We're going to get our damage RE. Tool dot damage RE. Now with damage, there's a few ways to do this with a sword or any kind of melee weapon. You could do an area of effect right in front of the player, which is what I normally like to do, or you could just do the touched event for the sword itself. And I think I'm going to do that today, but you got to remember to turn the sword on and off when you swing, and you also have to remember not to hurt yourself. So let's do local sword. We're going to get the sword. So tool.handle is the sword, right? We'll do a wait for child. Wait for child, handle. And I need to have a flag to say whether the sword is active or not. So we'll do active equals false. Whoops, got that X in there. Let's get a variable for the player. That's us, not the enemy player, but us, because we can't hurt ourselves when we're swinging the sword. That wouldn't be any good. Let's get our sword dot touched event going, right? So if the sword, the handle itself, touches somebody, let's do a connect to an anonymous function. The other part, which is the part that we're making contact with, is going to be passed into this function. Let's look for a humanoid associated with the other part. So we'll do other part, thinking maybe it's a head or an arm or something like that. Dot parent, that goes to the character level if it is a character. We'll do a find first child, look for a humanoid in the character. Now, it might not be a character, it might be a tree or something. So let's do if the exists, the humanoid exists, and we got to check to make sure it's active. There's the active. Then we'll say if hum.parent.name does not equal player.name. So the character name of a player is going to be equal. The character name of a player's character is going to be equal to the player's name. We don't want to hurt ourselves. That's what I'm doing. So this is the character actually. But if the name equals the player, hopefully we don't have any NPCs that name the same as our player. And, let's make sure active is true. Actually, you don't need to do it twice, right? Let's just do it then. Take damage. Take damage. And we'll say 20. Because we're not going to do a debounce, so it's going to hit several body parts. It's going to be a pretty lethal sword. We might want to do a debounce so it only sinks into the first part we hit. But let's keep it simple today. It's already a little bit complicated. I think it's harder than the gun, actually. I did a simple pistol, right? So let's do the damage RE. This is what's triggered on the client side when we do our swing. We're going to do an on-server event. We will connect that to a function. The player is going to get passed because it came from a client script. So the player is going to be available. We are going to make active equals true. So now the sword can hurt. We're going to get this player. Let's change the name here so you don't get them confused. Let's call this L player for local player. Sometimes people put a underscore there so you know it's local to the function. So player equals underscore player. And that way we can get it right here when we do a touched event. We'll say wait. How long should we wait? Wait maybe 0.3 seconds. Active will then become false. You have to hit it again. And then we'll say player equal nil. Right? So you gotta swing in order to activate the sword. I think we're good to go. I think we can go ahead and try this sword out. We're gonna need a zombie to test it though. Let's go to home. Maybe why isn't that going? Sword R6. We'll go to toolbox. Get a zombie. We can kill him. Let's do that. Get our sword R6 swing. Let's drag it on down to starter pack. Darn it. Starter pack. I put it in starter player by accident. We'll play. We'll go ahead and hit the rig. Try it out. Yeah. See, it's pretty brutal, right? It's going through all those body parts. Every time it hits a different body part, you're giving 20 points of damage to the humanoid. So, debounce and putting a cooldown in there will be an order of business. But now you got a simple sword, a simple R6 sword.